Welcome to Factual America, where we dig deep into the stories shaping our nation. Today, we're tackling a question that's tough to ignore. Why are America's cities collapsing, and who's to blame? For generations, our cities were the engines of American prosperity. They built our industries, fostered our culture, and offered hope to millions. But now, many of these same cities are in crisis. Crime is up. Businesses are fleeing. Streets are filled with homelessness and decay. What went wrong? And how did we get here? Let's break down the facts and the decisions that brought us to this point. Let's start with the most pressing issue: public safety. In the past few years, crime rates have surged in cities like San Francisco, Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. Violent crime, theft, and vandalism are all on the rise. For many residents, simply walking down the street or taking public transit has become a risk. Why is this happening? A big reason is the shift in policing policies. Over the last decade, progressive city leaders have slashed police budgets, embraced defund the police rhetoric, and implemented policies that prioritize the rights of criminals over the safety of victims. In some cities, entire categories of crime are now ignored or downgraded to minor offenses. Soft-on-crime district attorneys, often installed with the backing of well-funded activist groups, have refused to prosecute repeat offenders. Bail reform measures have allowed dangerous individuals back onto the streets within hours of their arrest. The message is clear. Consequences for criminal behavior are minimal. The impact on everyday life is profound. When crime goes up, businesses close their doors. Major retailers, once anchors of downtown economies, are abandoning cities where theft and vandalism are rampant. Small business owners, already struggling from the pandemic, simply can't afford the risk. This creates a vicious cycle. As businesses leave, city tax revenues drop. With less money, services decline, neighborhoods deteriorate, and the exodus accelerates. Another major issue is homelessness. The problem has exploded in cities with the most lenient policies. Instead of enforcing laws against public camping or drug use, city officials have allowed sprawling encampments to take over sidewalks and parks, making public spaces unsafe and unsanitary. Compassion is important, but ignoring the law isn't compassion, it's chaos. Many city leaders have poured billions into housing first programs with little accountability, while drug abuse and mental illness go untreated. The result? More people on the streets, not fewer. Meanwhile, ordinary residents are left to deal with the consequences: unsafe streets, dirty parks, and declining property values. Families worry about their children's safety. Seniors are afraid to leave their homes. The quality of life collapses. The situation is made worse by decades of progressive policies that have made life in many cities harder, not easier. High taxes, burdensome regulations, and anti-business attitudes have driven employers and workers away. Instead of fostering growth, city leaders have prioritized social engineering and virtue signaling. The result? Fewer jobs, higher costs, and less opportunity for everyone. The American dream that once brought millions to the city is slipping away. Housing is another crisis. Progressive zoning laws and endless red tape have made it nearly impossible to build new homes. Environmental regulations and NIMBY activism drive up costs, making affordable housing a pipe dream, especially for the working and middle class. When new housing is built, It's often luxury apartments for the wealthy, not homes for working families. The middle class is squeezed out, and the city becomes a playground for the rich and a trap for the poor. On top of all this, schools in many cities are failing. Teachers' unions and bureaucrats resist meaningful reform, while parents are left with few choices. Test scores plummet, and families who can afford it flee to the suburbs or private schools. Let's talk about education. For decades, progressive politicians have prioritized the demands of unions over the needs of students and families. Instead of supporting charter schools and school choice, they doubled down on failing systems. The result? Generations of children trapped in underperforming schools with little hope for a better future. The COVID-19 pandemic made everything worse. Progressive leaders imposed some of the strictest lockdowns in the country, crippling small businesses and sending more families packing. Many public schools stayed closed far longer than private ones, leaving children behind academically and socially. Remote work has made it easier for people to leave, and many are voting with their feet, moving to states and cities with lower taxes, better schools, and safer streets. The economic consequences are clear. As productive residents and businesses leave, the city's tax base shrinks. That means less money for public safety, schools, and services. But instead of tightening their belts, city leaders often turn to higher taxes and increased spending, driving even more people away. So, who's to blame for this urban disaster? The answer is clear. Decades of failed progressive leadership. City halls dominated by one-party rule have become echo chambers, more interested in ideology than results. These leaders have ignored basic principles: enforce the law, keep taxes reasonable, support businesses, and focus on what works, not what sounds good in a press release. Activists and special interests have too much influence. Policies are crafted to please Twitter mobs, not the hard-working families who make cities run. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens are left out of the conversation. When they speak up at school board meetings or city council hearings, they're dismissed or even demonized. The media shares some blame too. Too often, they downplay the crisis or blame it on vague systemic forces, anything but the actual policies and politicians responsible. And let's not forget federal policies. Bailouts and handouts from Washington often reward failure and encourage reckless spending. Instead of incentivizing reform, federal dollars prop up broken systems and shield local leaders from accountability. Some will argue that inequality, racism, or history are to blame. But cities across America, regardless of their past, have flourished when they prioritized law and order, economic growth, and educational choice. The difference is leadership, not destiny. So, what's the solution? First, we need to return to basics. Enforce the law, support law enforcement, and hold criminals accountable. Safe streets are the foundation of any thriving city. Without public safety, nothing else matters. Second, we need to make it easier to do business, cut taxes, slash red tape, and welcome entrepreneurs. When businesses thrive, cities thrive. Jobs bring stability, opportunity, and hope. Third, we need real education reform, expand school choice, empower parents, and break the stranglehold of unions and bureaucrats who block change. Every child deserves a chance at a quality education, no matter their zip code. Fourth, we need to address homelessness with tough love. Enforce anti-camping laws, require treatment for addiction and mental illness, and hold service providers accountable for results, not just intentions. Fifth, City budgets should reflect reality, not wishful thinking. Stop the endless tax hikes and wasteful spending. Invest in core services, not pet projects or ideological experiments. Finally, we need leaders who put results over rhetoric. That means electing officials who listen to citizens, not just activists. It means demanding accountability, not empty promises. Some cities are starting to turn things around. In places where voters have demanded change by electing new leaders or passing tough-on-crime measures, the results are clear. Crime goes down, businesses return, and optimism grows. But real change will take all of us. Citizens must get involved, vote, speak out, and hold leaders accountable. If we want cities that are safe, prosperous, and free, we can't leave the future to politicians and activists. The collapse of America's cities isn't inevitable. With common sense, courage, and commitment to proven principles, we can rebuild our urban centers and restore the American dream. It starts with all of us demanding better, from our leaders, our institutions, and ourselves. This is Factual America. If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is the biggest problem facing America's cities? And what solutions do you support? Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching Factual America, and see you in the next video.